In the late 1950s, the Isle of Portland in Dorset appeared as a serene picture of England's coastline. With its towering white cliffs, sturdy stone houses, and the tranquil lives of its residents, the island seemed entirely detached from the tensions of the Cold War raging across the globe. The monotony of daily life on this seemingly harmless island concealed a dark secret. Portland was not just an ordinary town, but the epicenter of one of the boldest and most dangerous espionage operations in British history, the Portland Spy Ring. The peaceful life here was abruptly disrupted, becoming the stage for a dramatic international espionage saga. At the heart of this drama was the Admiralty Underwater Weapons Establishment, AUWE, a top-secret Royal Navy facility. This establishment played a pivotal role in the naval arms race, responsible for developing cutting-edge sonar and stealth technologies, particularly those related to HMS Dreadnought, Britain's first nuclear submarine. The existence of the AUWE transformed Portland from a quiet corner into a lucrative target, drawing the attention of Soviet intelligence. In this covert war, four central figures wove a complex web of deception and betrayal. First was Harry Houghton, a retired naval officer working as a clerk at the AUWE. His life was a series of personal tragedies and discontent, making him an easy target for the KGB. Alongside him was his lover, Ethel Gee, a middle-aged, unassuming clerk, living a quiet life with her mother and aunt. Drawn into the conspiracy by Houghton, she believed she was serving a noble cause, unaware that she was aiding an espionage plot. Leading the network was Gordon Lonsdale, a skilled KGB operative whose real name was Conan Mollady. Posing as a suave Canadian businessman dealing in jukeboxes and gambling machines, Lonsdale was the primary liaison, collecting secrets from Houghton and Gee. Finally, an American couple, Helen and Peter Kroger, real names Lona and Morris Cohen, completed the network. Living in Ruislip, London, under the guise of antiquarian book dealers, their home served as a command center where documents were encoded and transmitted to Moscow via a radio transmitter and microdots. The core conflict of the Portland Spy Ring revolved around a singular goal: funneling top-secret military information to the Soviet Union. From 1953 to 1961, these spies covertly operated, supplying the enemy with critical data on nuclear submarine technology and advanced defense systems. The case was not just a story of individual espionage, but a warning about the fragility of national security, where the most valuable secrets were held by the most ordinary-seeming individuals. To understand why a group of spies posed such a severe threat to British national security, one must consider the broader context of the Cold War and the state of the Royal Navy in the late 1950s. This was an era of unrelenting arms races between the two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, with Britain, though no longer a global empire, still playing a strategic role. The British government was striving to restore its status as a naval power. By 1960, Britain boasted the world's third-largest navy and aimed to become the second nation, after the US, to possess a nuclear submarine. This ambition was realized in the development of HMS Dreadnought, a symbol of military and technological prowess. At the heart of these ambitions was the Admiralty Underwater Weapons Establishment, AUWE, in Portland, Dorset. Far from an ordinary military facility, it was a leading strategic intelligence and research hub for NATO and Britain. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to develop cutting-edge technologies, particularly sonar and stealth systems, to detect and track enemy submarines. At the time, nuclear submarines were the ultimate naval weapon, capable of stealth and carrying nuclear missiles. Consequently, the technology to detect them became one of the most sought-after secrets globally. This made the AUWE an irresistible target for the KGB. The top-secret documents stored there, including blueprints and specifications for HMS Dreadnought and new sonar systems, were invaluable. If these secrets fell into Soviet hands, they could disrupt the naval power balance, giving the Soviets an edge in the underwater arms race. For a superpower like the Soviet Union, obtaining this information could save billions of dollars and decades of research while enabling them to develop more effective countermeasures against NATO's fleet. Thus, the secrets stolen by the Portland spy ring were not merely technical documents. They were strategic chess pieces in the Grand Cold War game. While the AUWE appeared as an ordinary administrative facility, it housed secrets capable of altering global dynamics. The naval arms race between Britain and the Soviet Union significantly increased the value of these secrets, making every blueprint and report a potential target with catastrophic consequences if leaked. This vulnerability created fertile ground for the spy ring's activities, leading to one of the most shocking espionage cases in British history. Unlike the glamorous spy archetype of fiction, the central figure of the Portland spy ring, Harry Houghton, was a deeply troubled and discontented man. His life was not one of high ideals, but a series of mistakes and grievances ruthlessly exploited. Born into modest circumstances, Houghton left school at 14. Despite this, he built a respectable career by joining the Royal Navy and serving in World War II, rising to the rank of Chief Petty Officer. After the war, he transitioned to the civil service, working in naval intelligence at HMS Osprey in Portland. Though he had a military background, Houghton was an incompetent employee, notorious for his alcoholism, abrasive personality, and careless work ethic. His personal life was equally troubled, marked by a violent marriage to his alcoholic wife, Peggy. These struggles created emotional and financial voids, making him a vulnerable target. The turning point in Houghton's life came in 1951 when he was assigned as a clerk at the British Embassy in Warsaw, Poland. There, he fell into a KGB orchestrated honey trap. He became enamored with Katarina, a young Polish woman, and soon engaged in black market dealings to fund an extravagant lifestyle. When caught by Polish authorities, Houghton was ensnared. The Polish security service UB, under KGB direction, coerced him into spying for them to avoid prosecution. Faced with public disgrace and imprisonment, Houghton had no choice but to comply. Expelled from the embassy and deported from Poland in 1952, Houghton believed he had escaped his predicament. In reality, he had been handed over to KGB operatives in Britain. His reassignment to the AUWE in Portland was no coincidence, but part of a meticulous Soviet plan. His financial and personal weaknesses made him a perfect pawn. With unrestricted access to top military secrets at Portland, Harry Houghton became the critical link in a spy network, initiating a dark chapter in British intelligence history. The Portland spy ring's operations exemplified the coordination and discipline of its spies, despite the flaws of its key figure, Harry Houghton. The network's success largely stemmed from the astonishingly lax security at the AUWE. Houghton exploited loopholes such as staff rotations during lunch breaks and rules allowing employees to take classified documents home. Though incompetent in his job, he was adept at stealing top-secret documents from HMS Dreadnought blueprints to advanced submarine detection technology using a compact Minox camera. Ethel Gee's involvement provided Houghton with an additional channel for leaking information. drawn into a romantic relationship with Houghton and persuaded by Gordon Lonsdale that they were aiding an American naval officer named Alex Johnson to ensure NATO compliance. Gee believed her actions were legitimate. She regularly smuggled classified documents from the AUWE. Their exchanges often took place in public venues in London, particularly at the Old Vic Theatre. Gordon Lonsdale, a true KGB operative, linked the network's components. Posing as a Canadian businessman, he met Houghton in London pubs to collect film rolls of naval secrets in exchange for large cash payments. His business dealings in jukeboxes and gambling machines provided a perfect cover for his covert activities. The secrets collected by Lonsdale were passed to Peter and Helen Kroger. Their Ruislip home was not just an antiquarian bookshop, but a sophisticated espionage hub. With experience as a courier in the Manhattan Project, Helen Kroger converted photographed documents into microdots containing encoded information transmitted via a radio transmitter and a 75-foot antenna. Peter Kroger hid microdots in book spines, shipping them to fictitious European addresses using one-time pad encryption to prevent decoding. Overall, the Portland spy ring operated like a well-oiled machine. Ethel Gee stole documents, Harry Houghton photographed them, Lonsdale collected and paid, and the Krogers processed and transmitted the information to Moscow. Each member knew only their role, creating a compartmentalized, hard-to-break system. This seamless coordination, coupled with significant security gaps, allowed the network to operate undetected for nearly a decade, causing severe damage to British security. One of the most disturbing and shocking aspects of the Portland spy ring case was not the network's sophistication, but the series of egregious failures by British intelligence. The network was not flawless, yet its flaws were repeatedly ignored, despite clear warnings. Had authorities acted promptly, this major defense secret leak could have been prevented early on. The first warning came from Harry Houghton's troubled wife Peggy in 1955. Suspecting his espionage activities since their time in Warsaw, she courageously reported his suspicious behavior to the British Admiralty. Peggy provided detailed accounts from Houghton's possession of an unusual Minox camera to the presence of top-secret documents at home and his covert activities. Yet rather than launching a serious investigation, officials coldly dismissed her claims as the rantings of a jealous wife embroiled in marital issues. This unprofessional decision allowed Houghton's espionage to continue unchecked. A year later, another warning emerged from within the AUWE. In 1956, an executive officer discovered missing classified documents on Houghton's desk. This was concrete evidence of his negligence, but again, security agencies failed to act decisively. Instead of conducting a thorough investigation into potential leaks, they merely transferred Houghton to a less sensitive role at HMS Osprey. This half-hearted action allowed him to remain within the military system despite clear signs of carelessness and irresponsibility. These individual failures reflected broader systemic security flaws at the AUWE. Lax regulations permitted employees to take classified documents home, a practice unthinkable in today's security context. Moreover, Houghton's personal issues and poor work ethic were widely known yet carelessly overlooked, allowing him continued access to sensitive areas. This complacency and lack of professionalism created an ideal environment for the Portland spy ring to thrive for years, causing significant national security damage. The case became a costly lesson in how complacency and misjudgment of human character can lead to catastrophic consequences. After years of operating in the shadows, shielded by British intelligence's complacency and shortcomings, the Portland spy ring finally faced exposure. Ironically, the turning point came not from any British agency, but from a mysterious external source demonstrating how a small clue from afar can shift the tide. In 1958, a cryptic letter was sent to the U.S. Embassy in Bern, Switzerland, addressed to FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. Signed Hekenschützer German for sniper, the letter revealed the existence of two Soviet spies operating in Britain, later codenamed Lambda 1 and Lambda 2 by MI5. Initially vague and lacking specifics, the information was enough to catch the attention of Western intelligence. Sniper was believed to be a senior Polish intelligence officer, possibly also KGB codename Vision by the CIA and Sniper by the FBI, highlighting the source's significance. It wasn't until March 1960 that Sniper provided decisive information. Through a CIA dead letter drop in West Berlin, he sent a detailed message identifying Lambda 2 as a naval spy named something like Hoopkaner. This was the missing piece investigators had been seeking. MI5 analysts scoured personnel records and found a name that sounded similar and matched the description: Harry Houghton. This revelation changed everything. From a case with no leads, MI5 and now had a primary suspect. Starting with Houghton, they quickly uncovered his connection to Ethel Gee. Past warnings from Peggy Houghton missing AUWE files and Harry's odd behavior were finally taken seriously. Within months from March to May 1960, British intelligence shifted from passivity to actively pursuing the case. Sniper's information was not just a clue, but a catalyst driving a comprehensive and targeted investigation. This marked the critical turning point, signaling the inevitable end of the Portland spy ring. After years of missing warning signs, Sniper's tip-off finally triggered a thorough and meticulous investigation by MI5. Led by Officer Charles Elwell, MI5 launched a covert operation codenaming Harry Houghton Reverberate and Ethel Gee Trellis. Gone was the earlier governmental apathy. This time, MI5 agents acted with high determination. They conducted round-the-clock surveillance, monitoring the suspects' every move, and installed secret microphones in their homes to gather evidence. The surveillance quickly yielded results. MI5 agents followed Houghton and Gee from Portland to London, observing their frequent meetings with a mysterious man, Gordon Lonsdale. When Lonsdale received a parcel from them at a pub, investigators had their first evidence of an organized network. The focus shifted to Lonsdale, whom MI5 tracked to a Midland Bank safety deposit box. On September 17, 1960, MI5 secretly searched the box, finding undeniable proof of espionage, a Minox camera, an East German camera, and one-time pads. From Lonsdale, MI5 traced further leads. They noticed his regular visits to a bungalow on Cranley Drive in Ruislip, owned by the Krogers. To monitor the Krogers discreetly, MI5 set up a spy nest in the home of neighbors Bill and Ruth Search, observing the Krogers' activities and gathering evidence of their secret radio station. However, Gordon Lonsdale was no ordinary operative. A highly trained KGB agent, he detected irregularities after the deposit box search. Highly alert, he sent encrypted radio messages to Moscow and returned to the Lubyanka KGB headquarters to report the incident. Assured of full support if arrested, the KGB ordered him back to London under the codename Last Act, a bold move reflecting Soviet intelligence's confidence. In this cat-and-mouse game, MI5's investigation made significant strides, but Lonsdale's vigilance showed the spy ring remained a formidable adversary. Both sides were poised for a final confrontation. After months of intense surveillance, MI5 had sufficient evidence to act, but the final push came from unexpected CIA news. The agency reported that sniper Golanovsky, who provided the initial tip, was planning to defect to the West. This posed both an opportunity and a risk. If Sniper defected, his identity would be exposed, alerting the KGB that their London network was compromised. This could prompt the spies to flee immediately. Facing this urgent situation, MI5 knew they had to act swiftly to apprehend the group before it was too late. The decisive moment came on January 7, 1961. In a perfectly coordinated operation, MI5 arrested the spy ring members simultaneously. At the Old Vic Theatre in London, Harry Houghton, Ethel Gee, and Gordon Lonsdale were apprehended during a secret exchange. The evidence was undeniable: a parcel containing top-secret documents about HMS Dreadnought and other naval technologies. This public arrest marked the end of a long period of espionage and demonstrated their betrayal. Simultaneously, MI5 agents raided the Krogers' Ruislip bungalow. Though Helen Kroger rushed to the garden to burn documents, upon hearing the doorbell, investigators intervened in time. The search turned the ordinary home into a trove of espionage evidence. MI5 found a powerful radio transmitter with a 75-foot antenna, microdots containing encoded information, fake passports, and other encryption devices. Even a talcum powder tin had a hidden compartment for small documents. These findings solidified the case, but a more critical discovery resolved all doubts. Fingerprints on the seized items confirmed the Krogers as Lona and Morris Cohen, long-wanted Soviet spies who had fled the U.S. This revelation elevated the case from a routine espionage matter to a complex international network run by seasoned operatives. The January 7, 1961 takedown was a resounding MI5 victory, ending one of the most severe defense secret leaks in British history. On March 13, 1961, the Portland spy ring trial began at London's Central Criminal Court. To protect national secrets and MI5's investigative methods, the trial was held in camera, in private, without public or press attendance. Presided over by Lord Chief Justice Parker, the defendants faced the court, each offering a different defense reflecting their roles and attitudes. Harry Houghton testified, first presenting himself as a remorseful man. He claimed to be a victim of coercion, stating that Polish and Russian agents threatened to expose his illegal dealings and illicit relationship in Warsaw. He argued he acted to protect himself and his lover, not out of political allegiance to the Soviets. Though his testimony explained his motives, the court found he intentionally betrayed his country. Houghton was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Ethel Gee offered an emotional defense, asserting she was unaware she was aiding Soviet espionage. She claimed absolute trust in Houghton and Lonsdale, whom she believed to be an American naval officer, Alex Johnson, ensuring NATO compliance. She insisted she acted out of love and blind trust with no intent to betray her country. Despite this, the court ruled she knowingly participated in illegal activities, sentencing her to 15 years, matching Houghton. In stark contrast, the Krogers displayed the resilience of professional spies. They refused to testify or admit guilt, insisting they were innocent antiquarian book dealers. However, MI5's evidence was overwhelming. The court publicly identified them as Lona and Morris Cohen, wanted in the U.S. With undeniable proof of their role as the network's communication hub, the Krogers each received 20 years in prison. Finally, Gordon Lonsdale faced the court under his alias, maintaining a proud silence. His only bold statement was that he had not betrayed his own country, implying loyalty to the Soviet Union. The court deemed him the mastermind and leader. Due to his central role and lack of remorse, Lonsdale received the heaviest sentence, 25 years. The sentences reflected the severity of the crimes and each individual's role. Lonsdale, the professional orchestrator, received the longest term, followed by the Krogers, Gee, technical operatives. Houghton and Gee, manipulated participants, received lighter but still significant sentences. The Portland spy ring story didn't end behind prison bars. The spies remained valuable pawns in international politics. Their fates were shaped not by their sentences, but by tense prisoner exchanges between nations. Gordon Lonsdale, a high-ranking intelligence officer, was the first to be exchanged. In April 1964, he was freed in exchange for Greville Wynne, a British courier detained by the KGB in Budapest, underscoring Lonsdale's importance to the Soviets. Years later, the Krogers were exchanged in October 1969 for Gerald Brooke, a British teacher imprisoned in the Soviet Union. They were personally welcomed by KGB chairman Yuri Andropov, a rare honor reflecting Soviet respect for their contributions. The spies' fates varied. Gordon Lonsdale Conan Malady died in 1970 from a stroke just 6 years after returning home. The Krogers Lona and Morris Cohen lived quieter lives but were celebrated as heroes in the Soviet Union. Helen died in 1992 and Peter in 1995, both posthumously honored as heroes of the Russian Federation. Meanwhile, Harry Houghton and Ethel Gee had a more mundane ending. Released early in 1970, they married in 1971. Gee died in 1984, followed by Houghton in 1985. Their lives, once central to an international espionage scandal, returned to ordinary obscurity, contrasting with the professional spies' fates. The Portland spy ring exposed embarrassing British intelligence failures. The 1961 Romer inquiry sharply criticized the Admiralty and MI5 for ignoring clear warnings, notably Peggy Houghton's 1955 report. The Portland case, alongside high-profile defections like Guy Burgess, Donald McLean 1951, George Blake 1961, and Kim Philby 1963, revealed systemic weaknesses in British intelligence. In recent years, declassified documents from 2017 and 2019 by the British National Archives further confirmed the extent of these intelligence lapses, from inadequate personnel vetting to lax security protocols. The Portland spy ring remains a stark reminder of how complacency and oversight can have dire consequences for national security. The Portland spy ring concluded with harsh sentences, but its legacy endures as a cautionary tale worldwide. This story transcends a mere espionage case. It is a profound lesson in betrayal, institutional failure, and the complex human nature amid the perilous Cold War. The characters, from resolute professionals like the Krogers and Gordon Lonsdale to vulnerable, manipulated figures like Harry Houghton and Ethel Gee, left an indelible mark. The spy ring proved that even the most closely guarded national secrets could be compromised by greed-blind love and governmental negligence. The case is a painful reminder of ignored warnings. It's sobering to consider what might have happened if MI5 and the Admiralty had acted decisively on Peggy Houghton's 1955 report. A single thorough investigation could have prevented the entire affair. Instead, complacency and bureaucratic inertia allowed the spy ring to operate undetected for nearly a decade, causing severe security losses. Historically, the Portland spy ring played a significant role in exposing systemic flaws in British intelligence at the time. It was not an isolated incident, but part of a series of shocking espionage and defection scandals, including those of Guy Burgess, Donald MacLean, George Blake, and Kim Philby. Each case dealt a blow to British intelligence's credibility, forcing security agencies to overhaul their recruitment and document security processes. Today, with the case's classified documents fully declassified, we have a clearer view of past oversights. Portland, with its natural beauty and inherent tranquility, remains forever tied to this scandal. It stands as a symbol not only of a covert war, but also as an eternal reminder that even in the quietest places, the greatest secrets and gravest mistakes can lurk.